Hi, I'm Maria Elvira T. Domingo from BSN 1C, and today I'm assessing posterior and anterior thorax. First, we'll perform hand washing. Good afternoon, sir. I'm your nurse for today, and today we'll be assessing your thorax and lungs po. And dito po is yung posterior sa likod niyo po. Ang unahin natin, pangalawa is anterior. Ang gagawin ko po dito, ay i-inspect ko, ipapalpate ko, i-percuss ko po, at i-auscultate ko. Gagamitan ko po ng stethoscope. Agree naman po ba kayo na i-express ko po yan sa likod niyo at sa harap?
Sure po.
Pero pinaman ko sa baba.
Sure po.
Okay. Number 1, inspect the shape and symmetry of the thorax from posterior and lateral views. While the client sits with his arms at his side, stand behind him and observe the position of scapulae and the shape and configuration of the chest wall. Inspect the spinal alignment for deformities. And his spine is vertically aligned. The right and left shoulders and hips are the same height. Palpate the posterior thorax. Palpation may be performed with one or both hands. Palpate for tenderness, warmth, pain, and other sensations. And there's also a sequence for palpating the posterior thorax. Tapos dito naman po, we just expand po. Dito po palpate the posterior chest for respiratory excursion. By placing the hands on the posterior chest wall with the thumbs and at the level of the or tendon and pressing together a small skin fold as the client takes a deep breath, observe the movement of your thumbs. And there's a full and symmetric expansion and the thumbs separate 2 to 3 cm during deep inspiration when assessing for the respiratory excursion. And the client does not use accessory muscles to assist breathing. Palpate the chest for vocal tactile fremitus. Following the sequence for palpating the posterior thorax, use the palmar surface of the hand at the base of metacarpopharyngeal joints to assist the fremitus. As I move my hand to each area, ask the client to say 99, assess all areas for symmetry and intensity of vibration. Fremitus should remain symmetric for bilateral positions. Percuss the thorax. Percuss for tone starting at the apices of scapulae and across the top of both shoulders. Resonance is a percussion tone elicited over normal lung tissue. Percuss elicits flat tones over the scapula. And there's also a sequence for percussing the posterior thorax.
Wala naman.
Next po natin is i-auscultate ko naman po. Gamit ako po ng stethoscope.
Sige.
Dito po pala mag-i-email explain po tayo.
Sige.
Auscultate the chest using the flat disc diaphragm of the stethoscope. By placing the diaphragm of the stethoscope firmly and directly on the posterior chest wall at the apex of the lung at C7, ask the client to breathe deeply through his or her mouth for each area of auscultation so
I can best hear inspiratory and expiratory sounds, and do not listen through clothing or drape which may produce additional sound or muffled sounds that exist. And there's also three types of breath sounds may be auscultated: bronchial, bronchovesicular, and vesicular. And there's also a sequence for auscultating the posterior thorax.
Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Yun. Okay. Tapos na tayo.
Inspect breathing patterns. Respirations should be even and smooth, and chest movement should be symmetrical. Inspect the anterior chest for shape and symmetry. Have the client sit with his arms at his sides. Stand in front of the client and assess the sternum from an anterior and lateral viewpoint. Watch for sternal retraction and observe quality and pattern of breathing. Palpate the anterior chest. Palpate for tenderness, sensation, and surface masses. Start with your hand position over the left clavicle and move your hand left to right, comparing findings bilaterally. And there's also a sequence for palpating anterior thorax. Palpate the anterior chest for respiratory excursion. Place your hands on the client's anterolateral wall with the thumbs along the costal margins and pointing toward the xiphoid process. As the client take a deep breath, observe the movement of your thumbs, and thumbs move outward in a symmetric fashion from the midline. Palpate tactile fremitus in the same manner as for the posterior chest. Using the sequence for palpating the anterior chest, palpate the fremitus using the same technique as for the posterior thorax. Percuss the anterior chest systematically. Percuss the apices above the clavicle, then percuss the intercostal spaces across and down, comparing sides, and resonance is the percussion tone elicited over normal lung tissue. Percussion elicits dullness over breast tissue, the heart, and the liver. Tympany is detected over the stomach, and flatness is detected over the muscles and bones. And there's also a sequence for percussing the anterior thorax. Auscultate the anterior chest. Place the diaphragm of the stethoscope firmly and directly on the anterior chest wall. Auscultate from the apices of the lungs, slightly above the clavicles to the bases of the lungs at the sixth rib. Ask the client to breathe deeply through his mouth in an effort to avoid transmission of sound that may occur with nasal breathing. Listen at each side for at least one completely respiratory cycle. Follow the sequence for anterior auscultation of the thorax. And there's also a sequence for
normal po, breathing pattern mo po naman po. At hindi na po kayong high blood. Okay po. Okay. Hindi po, hindi na po itaas. Ayan.
pa magti-thank you.
Hindi, tapos.
Document findings in the client record.